Well, welcome. Today we have Debbie Sodergren as our guest, and she is an energy body vibration expert and the owner of Vibrations LLC. And she's also an author and a speaker. Debbie's nationally certified as a Reiki master teacher and certified to teach metaphysics and meditation, and an infinite possibility trainer trailblazer. I'd like to learn more about that one. So Debbie's been training in the knowledge of the human energy field in the areas of chakra balancing, vibrational medicine, channeling, death and dying, meditation, astrology, and mindset work of infinite possibilities, just to name a few things. So Debbie has this deep understanding of the body, mind, spirit connection and knows that we're all connected. And as a business owner, this affects your business. So Debbie's worked over 18 years with many clients to help them with their dreams. Either she's teaching in a classroom or she's doing one-on-one private sessions, assisting her clients with personal and business clarity and shifts. So today we want to welcome Debbie to the show, and we are so happy that you are here. Welcome, Debbie.
Thank you so much for that lovely introduction. It's such a pleasure to be here with you, Jolen.
Well, I am so glad that you're here. And I'm just kind of really curious because I have never heard about this infinite possibility trainer. So would you mind sharing a little bit about that and what it is and what you do?
Sure, I would love to. So I always knew from a very young age that we were an energetic being having a human experience. And growing up, there was never really anything, any courses, any books, anything around me to really support the knowledge that I knew intuitively. So I kind of set it aside and went about life. And eventually, once I was married, I came across an instructor in college, a psychology instructor who taught metaphysics. And so I went to her school for 6 years and I took all those wonderful classes. Well, that was great, but that was in the 90s. And I live in New England. It still wasn't known yet about metaphysics and what that really was. And, you know, in New England, we're coming up on the holiday of Halloween, and you know, everyone thinks if you do anything hands-on or anything that they don't really scientifically have proof of that works yet, they consider it witchcraft. So
Still?
I definitely wanted to steer away from that because it's like, it's metaphysics. This isn't witchcraft. They are two different modalities of training, of understanding, of mindset. So put that aside. After I did all that training, I became a mom, and there still wasn't a lot of places for me to connect with like a tribe of people that talk like this and that understand this kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I ended up going to this retreat down in Florida. And at this retreat, the woman was trained in this thing called infinite possibilities. And throughout the weekend of the retreat, at the end, I had learned about it and I decided I'm going to go do that. So I found out when the next training was, and I signed up, and I ended up going to this training called Infinite Possibilities. And what it is this amazing man by the name of Mike Dooley, who's been featured in the movie The Secret, brings like-minded people together and trains them in his program called Infinite Possibilities. And then he releases you to say, hey, use this information however way you want to use it in order to get your message out to the world. And so with that, I came back to where I live in Connecticut, and through my church, I offered a free class, which sold out. Of 20 people, and I offered this class to people to see if there was an interest, and there absolutely was an interest in it, and they raved about it, and they became Mike Dooley fans and started going to the website tut.com and registering to get notes from the universe. So It was so wonderful to hook up with a tribe. But yeah, that's what Infinite Possibilities Trainer is I've been trained through Mike Dooley's program, and I'm an Infinite Possibilities Trainer. I've spoken on his stage. He's such a graceful, gentle soul who just invites you in, and everybody that connects with him are all of like mind, and I'm very, very blessed to have found them in the early 2000s. So yeah.
Well, that's really funny because I live in the Bay Area and we get stuck on the freeway. We think it's only 15, 20 minutes, right? Or miles, 15, 20 miles. It takes you an hour. So I've been listening to Infinite Possibilities by Mike Dooley, and I've gone through it twice now, and I thought, well, it's time for something new. So now I'm on to something with mindset, and it's really old because it's a tape, and it's about these athletes that are talking about your mindset and how you can be a great tennis player and how to take that frame of mind and take it into business. And they said, all athletes are in training. So when I got this idea, I said, oh, I'm in training for my health. So I'm choosing to think better, eat better, and I'm in training. And that kind of leads me to this question. You kind of hinted about it, but you talk about the energy, the body vibration,
Yes.
like the food that we eat, the thoughts that we think, the feelings that we feel, it all has a vibration. But you have a different secret twist to this energy body vibration, don't you?
Well, I don't know if it's a secret, but the way I was trained with all of my trainings, I've now combined a program that works for me and for hundreds of people that have gone through my program and taken it and have been able to shift in their mindset and understand that we are an energetic being having a human experience. So there's different things I teach in my workshop about energy. And yeah, your thoughts do become things. That whatever, I can't remember what you said the program was that you're reading about with the athletes. There's studies that have been done, that have been documented, where they have athletes who will go out there and play basketball and practice and practice and practice. And then they have another group of athletes who will sit in a room and do this creative visualization about playing basketball. And then they have this third group of people who they will sit there and create and then go implement. And they're finding that by using the creative visualization, they have a higher percentage of people that are actually getting out there when they do go do the sport, that are succeeding at it. So that's really powerful to know that your thoughts, things that are your thinking, are actually manifesting into a reality of what you can pull towards yourself. So that right there is a very powerful tool, knowing that thoughts become things, as Mike Dooley says. That's one of his trade things that he always speaks about. And it's very, very true. Other philosophies, other people in the industry have now come about it in their own terminology and in their own way about how we create our reality with our thoughts. So with my training, I'm a Reiki master teacher. So that was my form of hands-on healing, was knowing the chakra system, learning the meridian system, and knowing about the auric system outside of the body. And combining those three together and working with those three has brought me into knowing how to help people get unstuck, get out of overwhelm, and really step into creating the life that they want to do moving forward. Because we all know if you're unhealthy and you're not feeling good, you're probably going to go down with as far as how much work you're going to get done. And I think there's even some studies now from the Behavioral Institute where they're going into corporate America and they're looking at like what the National Institute of Health is going in and doing these studies, and they're finding that it affects the bottom line for corporations when people are sick, or if they need to take family time, how that has an effect on them. So by allowing your employees to have time for, instead of just sick time, just have wellness days. Go and
Yeah.
go to the gym, or, cut your day a little bit short and go spend it with family. Those little tweaks in a schedule really affect the corporate bottom line, because they end up having a better employee, because their mindfulness about their job, because holistically they're feeling very centered in their life. They're feeling good in their well-being, taking care of themselves, taking care of their family. So therefore the output in the workplace makes it a lot better for them.
Mm-hmm. So I want to go back a little bit, because what you
Yeah.
said in the conversation really caught my interest. When I was going through this cancer experience, I really wanted to know what started the cancer. And about 3 years before I even had this, maybe it was 5 years, I started having premonition dreams. And what I learned from all this is an illness gets started in your aura first before it moves into the physical body. So when you made that comment about the auras, I'm thinking, wow, that is so true, because a lot of people think, oh, it just manifested, but it actually starts out here. And so if we have healthy thoughts, or we're eating healthy food, or taking meditation. Do you do meditation, or does meditation fit into this?
Oh gosh, yes. Meditation is just one tool to use when you're trying to get your vibration higher. And I ended up writing a book called Just Be, Your
Oh,
Path to Meditation and Awareness. And it's
okay.
available on Amazon. And I break it down into a very simplistic experience on starting meditation, because when most people are approached, do you meditate, they think of meditation as sitting with your fingers together and your eyes closed and oming. And yeah, that is one form of meditation, but it's
Right.
not the end all form. So yeah, I wrote a book about meditation and awareness. I've been teaching that for, oh my gosh, long time. I was teaching the class before I wrote the book, just to make
Uh,
sure that I had the social proof behind it on how it helped people. And
uh-huh.
the feedback from it was, people that were beginner meditators were saying, I can't shut my mind off. I can't go inward. I can't seem to figure that out.
Right.
So the way I've structured my course, they were able at the end of the 4 weeks to be able to shut their mind off and be able to meditate. And then I had other people that took the class from Yale who were interested in taking it, and they were experienced meditators, but they had hit this plateau, and they wanted to know if maybe the way I put my course together, maybe I offered some new information to them, that they would be able to break through that plateau. And it
They
actually
did?
did. They did.
Wow.
So
Wow.
yeah, good
That's
stuff.
neat. Yeah. So can you share with the audience, like, how would I want to read my own, you can't see my hands, but how would I read my own energy? What would I do if I wanted to know if I would know if I'm angry, but
Yeah.
give me an example of how do we read energy?
Sure. So one of the examples I give in my classroom setting, or if I'm coaching with somebody, is, because they're like, well, how do you know it? How do you know energy exists? Well, the
Oh,
first,
that's
right? The
that's a
first,
good question. Oh
how do
my
you know energy
gosh.
exists? And like, we're made up of energy. How do you know that?
Because you're alive, you're here,
Right.
you're having
And
this experience.
well, in metaphysics, quantum physics is finally showing us, like, there's this tool called Carillion photography,
Yes.
and it's a camera that actually takes a picture of your auric field outside of your body. So that's one tool that is now making metaphysics viable, that's saying, yes, this really does exist. The
Yeah.
other thing without any technology is, I'm sure your listeners, some of them, have been doing something, whether it's standing at the kitchen sink doing the dishes, or hunched over sitting at the table writing something in deep thought, and somebody tries to sneak up behind them, right? And they turn around and they get the person before the person gets to them. Well, what they actually did was they were feeling that person's energetic field before the person arrived to them. So there's one example, and I'm sure there's some light bulbs going on with your audience on, oh my God, that's right, that has happened for me. So that's
Right.
one good thing that you can do. And as far as human beings, like your own self, one thing is your gut is your emotions. And that is one of the tracking fields. It's one of the tracking fields that whenever you feel the anxiety or you feel anger, just know that that's something that your body, your energetic field within your body is telling you, hello, you need to learn something a little bit about what's causing this emotion to come up. So that's a
Right.
trigger just to show you, oh, we need to research this. So say I'm coming out of the grocery store late at night and I've got bags in my hands and I start getting this like uneasy feeling in my gut about my safety. I
Mm-hmm.
will stop what I'm doing. I'll get back into the light and I'll make sure that my keys are in my hand and I've got my button, and I will start out toward my car again. And if I did not feel better, I will go back and I will ask somebody to escort me to my car with my groceries. It's
Right.
that simple, like really listening to those little details.
Right.
Sometimes those little signals go off and we don't pay attention to it. And
Right.
as the body's an amazing thing. So if you're attracting all these different thoughts to you, how if you, I'm trying to think of a good example. Like if you are out there and you're attracting all these different thoughts, if you're negative all the time, right? And you are pessimistic about things, well, it's going to come into your auric field out here.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're mad, if somebody said something to you and it just sat wrong with you and you didn't say something about it, it's going to sit out here in your auric field. And as you play this over and over in the back of your subconscious, and every once in a while it comes into your consciousness, and you're like, that still angst me. What's going to happen is if you don't resolve that, it's going to settle somewhere in your body, because out here it's
Right.
tapping you. It's giving you,
Right.
hey, we need to resolve this. And if you're not
Right.
paying attention to it, it's going to show up like, if it's masculine energy, it'll show up on your right shoulder. If it's feminine
Mm.
energy, it'll show up on your left side of your body. So
Mm-hmm.
there's all these different cues that we can pay attention to in order to get something before it really manifests physically. But even when it manifests physically, it's not the end all. I mean, this piece of machinery of our human body is amazing. It can
Yeah.
heal itself. It really can. And
Yes.
sometimes when it gets into the point where you need to have some help, I agree. I believe in allopathic medicine with holistic medicine. Sometimes if you fall and you break your leg, yes, you need to go have surgery and get your leg reset. But in the healing process of it, there's things that you can do. You can stop and say, why was I not paying attention to my footing? What
Mm.
was taking my attention away from that? There's
Or
times,
even your foundation, because your feet are your foundation. So maybe
yes.
your foundation's off in your life.
Right, right. And so if you don't know a lot about that, you can work with somebody who can help you decipher these things and make shifts and make changes and release some limiting beliefs that you've been holding on to. There's different ways that you can shift that. It doesn't have to take a whole lifetime. If you work with a professional that has been trained in it, it can happen pretty quickly.
Yes, happens like that quite
Yeah.
quickly.
One of the things I did when I worked, before as I was building my business, I think it's really important to give back. And what I would do is I would volunteer at my local hospital. I would go in and I would do Reiki on the
Oh,
patients.
that's
And so
nice.
the nurses would go in beforehand and they'd be like, oh my God, Deb is here and she's a Reiki master. She's going to do energy work on you. And they would ask them, from a scale of 1 to 10, what is your pain threshold? And they would write it down. And then they would write down how many meds they were taking. And I would go in and I would spend 15, 20 minutes with the person. And then the nurse would come back in after and she'd ask them those same questions. And what we found out from charting all this information was people were going down on their meds and people were actually going up on their happiness, and they were
Oh,
going down
nice.
on their pain. Yeah.
Nice. What a nice gift
So,
that is.
yeah, well,
Wow.
I'm just calibrated, and I've been using it long enough and I've been attuned where all I am is just an instrument as a conduit.
Right. Right.
Anybody can do this. And once you're trained, you can really start working on healing yourself. And we all do it when the kids fall down. They always
Right.
come running to a parent to either kiss the boo-boo or
Right.
hug them and nurture them. That healing, it's healing touch that we're doing on a very basic level.
Right. Right. I know when my son was little, before I knew anything, I'd always rub my hands like that and then just put my hands wherever he hurt himself. And I didn't know what I was doing, but it was,
It's because you were using your intuition.
yes,
You're a spiritual being having a human experience, and your intuition told you. What this does is the friction builds up the energy in your hands. And if
yes,
you pull it apart a little bit, you can
you can
actually
feel it.
feel it. You can feel
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's almost like the ectoplasm is building between the hands. And as you expand it out, I had some students that can see the threads of light
Oh,
between their two
yes.
hands,
Uh-huh.
and then you can direct it. You can direct it on yourself. You can direct it on somebody else. You can, and there's trainings on that. There's also trainings
Yeah.
and attunements so that you can really heighten working with that.
Right. Well, I would love to learn more about this, but we're kind of running out of time. And so I'm just wondering, because you were talking about all these wonderful gifts that you were sharing with people in the hospital, do you have a gift to share with the audience?
Yes, thank you so much.
Oh,
I would love
yeah.
to offer them something. So one thing that I give away is a free grounding audio. It's less than 5 minutes, and what you do is you can go to my website www.upvibrations.com or www.debbiesodergren.com, and you can sign up for this free audio grounding where in less than 5 minutes I'm helping you with a couple cleansing breaths, I'm grounding you, I'm clearing out your energy. So yeah, that's the gift I'd like to offer your
Oh.
people today.
Well, that is great. I appreciate that. And I appreciate the audience being here listening today. And we appreciate Debbie for being here with all her wisdom. And be sure to download her free gift and sign up for it. And I want to thank you, Debbie, for everything. It's been wonderful. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome, Jolen. Thank you so much for having me on your show. And thank you, everyone, for listening. And we invite your comments. We'd love to get feedback to see if you enjoyed this.
Yes, definitely. Download it and leave a comment. Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye-bye.